Hey everybody, this is Matt from the Home for Wayward Records. Happy Thursday. The week is almost over. You've almost made it to Friday, which means you've succeeded once again. Wanted to swing by today and talk about something that conversation kind of started in my stories last week, and it was based around this book, 1001 Albums That You Must Hear Before You Die. And I will say, I love books like this, just for reading the pieces in here about things. There's a good page, Echo and Bunnyman and ZZ Top back to back. But I think the best thing about books like this is that it starts discussions about favorite records or records you feel are important, because books like that are very subjective. Not everybody is going to agree with everything that's included in there. And there's a lot of albums in there, and I'm like, I don't know if I would pick that one. So, it kind of led to some discussions about us picking our own records that maybe we think people should hear, or records we feel are important. And I kind of thought about it all week and bounced a few things through, and I picked out, I'm difficult, I can't do 5. I don't know why, so I picked 6. I picked 6 records that I think people should hear, or people should listen to, or ones that I think are important for me for whatever reason. So I picked 6 records that I think you should hear. Not before you die, you should hear them now. You should listen to them soon. They're to be enjoyed. So I'm going to go through them and kind of talk a little bit about each one, and then hopefully, maybe through the comments, we'll have a discussion about some of yours. So the first one I'm going to go with, I love jazz. I love almost every style of music, but years ago I got really into jazz, and one of the records recommended to me, kind of once you leave a sort of standard jazz setting, like there are some artists that you should probably start with. I would recommend, probably if you're getting into Miles Davis, it's easier to get into kind of blue than it is to get into Bitches Brew first. So this one was recommended to me as an album once I was kind of in, that I would probably enjoy, and it is Eric Dolphy, Out to Lunch. This was recorded in 1964. This is kind of free jazz, avant-garde jazz. I absolutely love this record. Whenever I heard it, I did wait until I felt I was kind of maybe a little more like, oh yeah, maybe now's when I like it. When I heard this one, it sort of blew my mind, and was something that I listened to constantly. Eric plays bass clarinet and alto sax and flute on here. He would pass, this is recorded in 64. Came out in 64. He would pass away before this record came out. He had undiagnosed diabetes and slipped into an insulin coma and died. So this came out, and he passed away in 64, the same year. I love this record. I think everybody that gets into jazz at some point needs to find their way to this album. Kind of the same way I feel about Ornette Coleman, and like I said, some later Miles or Coltrane. But this record is one that if you're getting into jazz and you're ready to kind of take that next step in, Eric Dolphy, Out to Lunch on Blue Note is a fantastic record. So first one, it's this one. Second one, I got into punk rock as a young teenager, and that opened a ton of avenues for me. And one of the records that did it for me was Bad Brains. Obviously, my original copy of this was on cassette, because that's what it was on originally. The first Bad Brains record, it feels like being shot out of a cannon. It is just, it's power and fury, and you're barreling along, and then you hit just some straight up reggae in the middle of it. They're, to me, still one of the tightest, most ferocious punk rock bands around, especially in 82. And this stuff goes back into the late 70s for them. This record, I feel as a young teenager in the 80s, whenever I heard this and like the first Minor Threat record, it just blew my mind. Like doors just opened, and I wanted to devour as much punk rock as I could, and this was one of those records that did it for me. The first Bad Brains album. It's if you place it in its time and in its context, and think of where they were and what they were playing, I mean, it is a revolution in your hands. I mean, this record is genius, and it's amazing, and everybody should hear this record at least once. Also, being in Texas as a teenager, there were a lot of very, very strange bands and things going on in Texas, which was phenomenal. And one of those bands, obviously in the 80s, was the Butthole Surfers. The Butthole Surfers were everything that was wonderful and strange and twisted and ridiculous and awesome about being in Texas at the time. And their early records are just super crazy and weird and feel like your brain is melting. But the one I wanted to point to today was Hairway to Steven, their fourth record. I will say that Hairway to Steven for me is sort of my, it's ended up being my favorite over time. I've got a very particular memory with this record that kind of adds to that for me. But I feel like Hairway to Steven is sort of where the complete weird things that they did meet up with the really great musicianship that they have. Paul Leary's guitar work on this record is amazing. There are some absolutely beautiful passages in here. There's also, I saw an X-ray of a girl passing gas. I mean, just typical Butthole Surfers, what did he just say moments. But there's also just, beautiful, delicate guitar interludes with the sound of bowling in the background. There's a song about Johnny Smoke. This is a record, I feel, all the song titles are just pictures inside, which is sort of a very Butthole Surfers thing to do. I feel it's not their most accessible, that's later, but I do feel that this one is sort of a blending of, wow, they're weird as hell, and wow, that actually sounds really, really good. So Butthole Surfers, Hairway to Steven is that one for me. Moving to 1990, one of the absolute best pop albums of all times, kind of alternative pop, and an absolutely amazing record in every single way is Jellyfish Belly Button. This one folds out. This is a reissue that came out last decade. Belly Button by Jellyfish. This, if you look at them, I mean, it is the most kind of like hippie-ish pop 90s grunge post-alternative, but it is, the king is half undressed. That is why this album is amazing. It's beautiful. It's poppy. It's incredibly well played. It's lyrically great. I mean, it if it would have come out in late 60s, they would have been huge, and instead they made a little wave and did Spilt Milk, and then that was sort of it. But Belly Button is one of my absolute favorite records, and is one that I think if you give it a shot, you will fall equally as in love as I have with this. Again, this one's pretty expensive to hunt down now. This is a reissue, and it needs to be reissued again because everything about it is perfect. And yeah, great record. You should check this one out. Next one, I'm moving a little ahead. So I love Spoon, another Texas band, and they're a band I've seen live. All of their records are great to me. But I think my favorite, and another kind of in that alternative and kind of perfect pop weird sound, is Girls Can Tell. So this is after they recorded for Merge and then left for a major, and that was sort of a disaster, and then they came back and recorded this back on Merge. And to me, out of all of their records, this one is kind of the perfect hey, what does Spoon sound like? And I would play somebody this record because I feel this one really does sum up exactly what they are. The lyrics are incredible. The musicianship is great. The songs are wonderful. Everything hits at once, starting right off, is probably one of the 5 songs I would immediately say, like, if you think you want to play something for somebody from this band, play Everything Hits at Once. But Lions in the Suit, Me and the Bean, Fitted Shirt, this whole record is fantastic. I really think you can go wrong with any Spoon record. They're all great in their own way, but this, I think, is my favorite one. So Spoon, Girls Can Tell. And my 6, because you know I can't do 5, I have to be complicated. I'm gonna pop up to 2017, and kind of post-rock and instrumental post-rock stuff is something that I really like. Explosions in the Sky, you know, even in a way, Sigur Rós. But one of my favorite records in that genre, also instrumental, is We Lost the Sea, Departure Songs. I heard this and I became so completely obsessed. I feel like it's all I listened to for a few months. It's just, God, it's a gorgeous record in every way. Even the packaging is amazing. So the fold out, these are all songs based around people that sacrificed themselves in some way or lost their lives helping others survive. The stories are all in here. The artwork is beautiful on this. It comes with a full booklet that has basically the stories for each of these. So A Gallant Gentleman, and each one has the art and the stories for each one. The vinyl itself, it's been pressed a few times on a few different colors. I think I got really fortunate with the pressing I got, because the vinyl itself is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it's just a beautiful record in every way, and it's you know, even being instrumental, it's quiet, it's loud, it's sad, it's I mean, it's a record, honestly, you can almost feel you know, the stories with the characters in it, and it's one of my favorite records of all time, and I don't say that lightly, because I know I like a lot of stuff and have a lot of records. This would be one, like, I will never get rid of this record. If I sell you know, everything in this room, I will keep this one, because it's that good. So yeah, those are 6 records that I think everyone should hear. You know, out of this, I've got a lot of records here, and there's a lot I could have picked, but I think those sum up a very certain thing, and I think everybody would enjoy giving them a spin. So let me know, what are your records you think everyone should hear? And it's very easy to pick. I could have picked, you know, My Bloody Valentine, Loveless, or the first Ramones record, or anything out of. There's a ton of records that I think people should really hear, that I think are important records, and ones that you know, could turn them into a fan of something. But some of those, like things in this book, there's a lot of them that everybody already knows, and probably there are things that you pass through or listen to on the way. So what is something that maybe somebody hasn't heard yet that they should? What's your favorite? So let me know. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for all the subscribers. Have a good weekend, and I will see you Monday.